The assassination attempt of Donald Trump on July 13th, 2024 is the latest chapter in a troubling saga for the American political system. Today, we discuss the similarities and differences between the United States of America and the late Roman Republic. I'm Jack, and this is Timeless Headlines.
And now for something completely different.
Let's say China.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
We'll begin this video with a discussion of the history and foundation of both the United States and the Roman Republic. Then we'll transition to how housing crises, 2 millennium apart, affected both societies. Then we'll discuss how the storming of the Capitol during an election affected both of these worlds. And then we'll conclude with how do we best move forward. So let's get into it. Rome's legendary founding, where Romulus killed his twin brother Remus, is dated to April 21st, 753 BC. The city would develop, change, and expand over time. In the year 509 BC, the last king was deposed, and a group of senators transformed the eternal city into a kingless republic. In 146 BC, the Roman Republic conquered its biggest enemies in Carthage and Corinth, and thereby became the preeminent power of the ancient Mediterranean. The United States, which began as a group of English colonies, rebelled against its mother country in the battles of Lexington and Concord on April 19th, 1775 AD. The country would develop, change, and expand over time, expanding across North America and beyond.
America!
In 1991, the United States would watch its biggest rival, the Soviet Union, collapse, and thereby become the preeminent power of the entire world. Now, there are a great deal of similarities with both the Roman Republic, as it was prior to its transformation into the empire that it became, and the United States of America as it stands today. They shrugged off a monarchy that they considered tyrannical. They expanded through the conquest of their neighbors. They had strong military traditions of excellence, and they defined themselves by a common enemy. But in their quest to dominate their biggest rival, both the Roman Republic and the United States of today ran into a housing crisis where affordability and ownership were hard to come by. Throughout the Roman Republic, wealthy Romans bought up larger and larger parcels of land, sometimes with people still living on them, as the divide between rich and poor grew deeper with each passing year. Now, if you would sell to one of these rich Roman elites, you were allowed to stay, but you usually only did so because you simply had no other option. And because of the widespread use of slaves in cities, these poor farmers couldn't even leave their homeland so they would simply remain as sharecroppers indebted to their new landlords. Throughout the US, the construction of new homes has virtually stopped in many places after 2008. This, combined with rising interest rates and overall price appreciation, has resulted in home affordability being the lowest, in some places, in American history. In the United States, the median price for a home has gone up 47% since 2020. Now, the parallels between the Roman Republic of the 2nd century BC and the America of today are fairly clear and easy to notice. You have a huge group of disenfranchised citizens that don't have any equity nor ownership in the economy that they're currently in. And that caused a great deal of unrest then, and it's causing a great deal of unrest now. So it would only be natural that in a time when political tensions were high, that a populist would emerge, promising an easy fix to the big problems of the day.
I'm gonna come.
We're gonna cure cancer.
We're going to renovate New York subway system.
Student loan payments pause is gonna end.
And in the Roman Republic, they had theirs, and we have ours now. Tiberius Gracchus, a Roman politician, sought to solve this problem by introducing legislation that would limit how much land any one person could own. This law, known as the Lex Agraria, proposed that when land was considered an excessive amount, it would be seized and distributed amongst the common people. To accomplish this, Tiberius would break several unwritten political rules, such as having opposing politicians removed from office and undermining the Senate's authority in the realms of foreign policy and the finances of the Republic. He followed all of this up by announcing he would seek re-election in 133 BC. While there are many norms that have been broken recently in American political history, the most notably of all is the advanced age of both of the candidates currently in the 2024 presidential election. And while there is no law explicitly barring someone from running after they reach a certain age, it is definitely rare indeed that two candidates are facing off against one another that are both well north of 70, let alone 75. What position did Tiberius hold? It was known as the Tribunus Plebis, or the Tribune of the People. It was an elected position that allowed the common people to have some check on the power of the nobility in the Senate. Most importantly, for this comparison, the Tribune of the People was considered untouchable, both legally and quite literally, physically. When the election came about, and it was clear that Tiberius did not have the necessary votes to secure re-election, him and his supporters occupied the Temple of Jupiter and allowed only those who supported Tiberius's gains and his land reform bill to vote. When word reached the Senate what was going on, a group of senators who were steadfastly against the bill led a mob to the temple. They would kill hundreds of citizens and Tiberius himself. To quote the ancient Greek historian Velleius Paterculus, quote, "Precedents do not stop where they begin, but, however narrow the path upon which they enter, they create for themselves a highway whereon they may wander with the utmost latitude. No one thinks a course is base for himself, which has proven profitable for others." End quote. As with the previous section, we can see how similar this all is to what we're dealing with today. One person's escalation and riot is another person's demonstration of their beliefs. But you have to admit, regardless of your feelings on issues, your feelings will be guided by your own political beliefs. It seems as though that America is becoming more and more fervently loud with what it's saying. It is expressing what it believes on both sides in increasingly bombastic ways. And with the example I just provided of the Temple of Jupiter and Tiberius being killed, you can connect the dots and see how we're walking down a very, 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 very similar path. As of the making of this video on July 13th, 2024, we don't know all the details about the motivations of the attempted assassin. We don't know all the connections that will inevitably be drawn, but we can say this. This is the first attempted assassination of a US president since Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, and it is unfortunately and very disturbingly seemingly like the political temperature of the United States is going up at an alarming rate. Now, violence in any capacity that's not self-defense is completely unjustifiable, but this is part of a broader trend of political polarization, of breaking of norms. We have two candidates, which are two of the oldest candidates that have ever run for president. Most people are unhappy with both of them, but are willing to pick a side to get most of their interests pushed through. So we're in a very similar situation as the Roman Republic, because after Tiberius was killed, then Julius Caesar came in and completely destroyed the Roman Republic. Now, I'm not saying that that is the next step, but as we've laid out today, it's beginning to look more and more like the US is going down a very similar path as the Roman Republic. It should be pointed out that what I used as the overwhelming majority of the source for this video was a book called The Storm Before the Storm by Michael Duncan. It is great. It's from 2017 and it has aged beautifully. A lot of what it stated is almost one for one right now with a lot of things that are currently happening. You have insurrection around an election where people don't necessarily trust what's being done for what reasons. And then you also have political violence that's used as a weapon to try to silence people. So I'm not excited about the state of things. I don't enjoy the way that they're going. So how do we move forward? Well, first and foremost, we've got to get rid of the two-party system. We need something else in this country to stand for. We're one of the biggest two-party democracies in the world. We also need term limits and campaign finance reform. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that one because it's pretty obvious. We have people in Congress that have been there for too long doing too poor of a job for us. We deserve better. And then lastly, we could try to hear out the other side. It has become so politically polarized. And I'm not going to be one of those people that says we've never been more polarized. I think the Civil War probably would give that a run for its money, but it is much more contentious than it used to be. So as we're talking to other people, if we could try to hear them out, if we could try to find common ground as people so often used to, that would be a huge first step in the right direction. But as of the making of this video, it doesn't look like we're headed that way, and I hope that everybody shows appropriate restraint moving forward, and that this next election is free, fair, and completely violence-free. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a special episode of Timeless Headlines. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate the support. Thank you once again. I'm Jack, and this has been Timeless Headlines.